Did y'all see the way that Vogue been clocking Nicki's tea all up in their article? I know you didn't. That's why I'm here doing this video. So today, what I want to do is I want to talk about like the reality of journalism and the way that as fans of Nicki Minaj, we often clock and talk about the way that Nicki Minaj is treated or lack thereof in the media, and even taking a positive article the way that Vogue did on her. There were still instances of where Vogue like said some things about Nicki that represented an unbiased perspective or what the GP would think about Nicki Minaj. So you'll see once we get into it, but stay tuned until the end of this video. Now, if you did not see my previous videos on Nicki's Vogue cover, make sure you go look at this one where we talked about her podcast interview with them, and then we talked about the actual article where Nicki talked more about like her life and her son and stuff like that. And then we also did a whole video on Nicki's 73 questions with Vogue. So much Vogue content to get into, right? But coming back here, I want to show you guys a couple things. So yeah, let's get into this tea. So let's take this one for example. It says, is this the same Nicki Minaj who has so often come in guns blazing, whose catalog of beefs, emphasis on catalog of beefs, has sometimes cast a lurid shadow over her musical bona fides? Is this the Nicki Minaj who stormed into the mainstream more than a decade ago with a verse promising to eat your brains? Swagger is an essential surface effect in hip hop. Let's pause there. As you can see, they started off the sentence, this is semi in the beginning of the Vogue article. So Vogue is referencing the many beefs that Nicki has had in the industry and how that could potentially overshadow the legacy that she has built for herself, which a lot of people try to make that argument for her, right? But I want to show you how they then turn it around. This is what people may think of Nicki Minaj, but she stormed into the mainstream more than a decade ago with a verse promising to eat your brains, speaking about how powerful her monster verse is, and talking about how swag is an essential surface effect in hip hop, and she is the best-selling female rapper of all time. So they turned it around while clocking her tea a little bit. Okay, so then here's another example. So it says, she married Kenneth Petty, a high school flame with a checkered past, who had grown up a few blocks from her in Queens and was part of a big group of teenagers who gathered at the same pizza place after school. So we all know Kenneth Petty and his checkered past. And so once again, they are telling you that, hey, it's not perfect here, but this is, what Nicki chooses to do. And this is just a part of her story, but we don't have to paint it in a super positive or a super negative light. It is what it is. And I appreciate that, because a lot of people like to make the argument that her relationship with him is also overshadowing her legacy and how she will be remembered. And I beg to differ. So a couple other examples here. A foray into COVID policy that has likely been Minaj's greatest public misstep. So referring to Nicki's tweets about the vaccine during the pandemic and how she's received a lot of backlash from that, from fans and critics and political figures and media people. They talked about that in the article, and you know it if you read it. Okay, so it says a foray into the COVID policy that has likely been Minaj's greatest public misstep, although she may not view it that way, acknowledging that, hey, we could think as the public that Nicki is making a misstep, she's making a wrong move, even though she may not feel that particular way, So it goes on to say, in a 2021 tweet, she urged her fans to do her own research. And we covered that in a previous video on the channel, so make sure you guys go check that out. Now, the next example is, at times, the public-facing Minaj has seemed like a landmine of emotions ready to detonate all over the Twitterverse. Okay, so a lot of people will say, like, okay, Nicki just likes to go off on people on Twitter and just, say how she feels and like drag people. And that's where she get into her beefs and stuff like that. When it really don't be like that. It is a place to get off your thoughts and opinions and stuff like that. And it can seem like a lot sometimes, but it truly isn't that if you understand the conversation that Nicki is trying to have. And that is just like a, what is it called? Like a misconception of the way that Nicki Minaj uses Twitter and social media, right? But if you actually take the time to get to know her and study what she's doing, you'll see that it's much more there. So they were saying this, that, Twitter's like a landmine of emotions and she's ready to detonate all over the Twitterverse. And then the second sentence is motherhood has tested her XXX, basically transitioning to show the evolution and the growth into Nicki and her public persona and how that has influenced her public persona. So I really wanted to show these examples as ways to where, like, you don't have to be super positive or super negative. Like, for example, we can take like a blog like Got the Scoop, who is super positive by Nicki, and you can take, like, let's say the Shade Room, and I'm just using these platforms as examples, who are super negative. Why is there such a stark contrast, and why can't we just speak on what is fact, what is true, and just base our journalism off of that? And so because as fans, we may only go to blogs who are like super positive or not, and then other people who may not like really like Nicki like that may look at a blog like Hollywood Unlocked that is super negative towards her, or trying to insinuate or paint a narrative that is really not true. And I just wish that in journalism and in media today, that we could all come from what is fact and what is an unbiased perspective, so that we can just get to the truth and show everybody for who they are. But that's just all I wanted to communicate to you guys today. So I hope that you enjoyed the video or enjoyed this conversation. I'm really interested in your thoughts and what you think about this. If you caught this in the article, if you think it means anything, do let me know in the comments. Let me know how you feel like platforms, even like my own, could be more unbiased and not swaying too positive or too negative and just going for the truth. I want to know your thoughts and opinions. Okay, so please like the video. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and also please hit the notification bell when you subscribe, because so much more content coming. You're listening to the Barbology playlist right now, and if you haven't already, make sure that you go check out the other videos that I did on Nicki's Vogue cover. So much to get into, okay? But for now, I want to say thank you guys so much for watching this video all the way to the end, and if you did make it to the end of this video, I want you to put clocked in the comments, okay? So I know who the real ones are.